mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? We like them mixed! With a little elevation.
I was going to say, there's got to be something coming up when it comes to elevation in Denver and everything else. And I got to say, after our little pre-show meeting, I didn't think your intro case would be as strong as it was, but we are here, everybody. The UFC, after a rare weekend off, they're back in Denver for a fight night event. We're out of the world's most famous Apex. And there you see the two ladies scheduled to headline this event, Rose Namajunas and Tracy Cortez, as we welcome you to the UFC Denver preview show here on MMAfighting.com. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. And joining me, very excited about this. First, my fellow East Coaster, my fellow Red Sox fan, the man who interviewed Dustin Poirier, who delivered just a magical quote about Michael Chandler yesterday, the great José Youngs. Kind enough to join us. Where is he? There he is. What's up, Jose?
That's the red hot, streaking, wild card placed Boston Red Sox, sir. Soon we'll take over the second spot because the Yankees are ass. And then it's only the division title we need to put on the most improbable season I can remember in this decade.
It's so funny seeing Boston teams actually not only be fun to watch, but likable outside of the New England area. It's great.
Electric.
It's been a good time. And no one likes to hear about this stuff and Boston sports teams more than our other panelists today. From the Great White North, the Prince of Positivity, my best friend. You may know him from On to the Next One. The great Alexander K. Lee, having a wicked good time so far. What's up, AK?
How about those Jays, though? 2 straight wins, back to back. That's where it turns around, guys. 2 straight.
You guys got
now.
You got one. You got one All-Star starter, right? Isn't Vlad starting?
We got Vladdy. Yeah, Vladdy bounced back. Horrible start to the season. He still can hit the ball out of the infield, but man, I don't know. He's finding a way to be productive. Bless his heart.
He's better than Bo Bichette.
I mean, hey, he's got injured. You kick him out when he's down. Well,
yes, without question.
Jesus. New England
in a contract year, trade him.
New Englanders do not play around.
Ooh. Nope. Plus, we've been involved in this crazy MMA space, and the MMA community kicks fighters while they're down all the time. But AK, let's begin with you. We talked about this in the pre-fight little meeting we had before we went live. So I'll give you a chance to respond to what I said, and we'll let the public kind of hear your response to it. UFC Denver. I feel like we're pretty honest on these programs. If a card is great, we say it's great. If it's ass, we tell you that it's just that. I feel like this is the most okay card of 2024. Right or wrong?
Let's ask the people. I'll get my just on a poll here. What do you think of UFC Denver? Super okay? Okay? Not okay. So there you go. That'll be our poll for today. Let's keep. There's no reason to give people so many options. Let's make a decision. I'm sure people are like, what if I'm in the middle? What if I'm like, I think it's better than okay, but not super okay? No, you got to pick one. Do you think the card is super okay? Do you think it's okay? Pick one. I'm leaning towards super okay. Prince of Positivity. Really intriguing main event. I think the match. This is one of those cards where I do worry. The matchups are too good. Like as far as like from a competitive standpoint, because I think people. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know, is some of your best cards are really where you have competitive matchups, and you also have like a sprinkling of squash matches on there, just so you can get some like sick first round finish, some a crazy ass submission that like nobody would really be able to pull off in a truly like competitive matchup. This has a lot of matchups for like if you were keeping some sort of internal rankings, you'd be like, yeah, these guys, none of these people being matched up, very few of them anyway, are like far apart as far as how they're probably viewed by the matchmakers. So in that sense, like I said, I always want to see a competitive card, but I would warn anyone tuning in, like, hoping for a bunch of crazy finishes, that like you might just get some good back and forth decisions. So I know that's not a great sell. That's not how the UFC sells its cards. They never would go into UFC Denver like, oh, you're going to get, we promise 7 or 8 competitive decisions. It's not how UFC does it. It's not how ESPN or ESPN Plus would certainly want to sell this card. But yeah, I think there's name value here. It's exciting to see some of the younger fighters getting really good opportunities. We've got Josh Van. Who was I just looking at? Fatima Klein, who was supposed to be on Contender Series. She's getting a big opportunity fighting Jasmine Yasadavicius. So Christian Rodriguez, I really like it featherweight. So there's intrigue here. There's a lot of intrigue on this card, but I don't blame anyone who's kind of just going into this like taking this weekend off and look forward to the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong here, Jose. You could either, like, if a card's bad, we'll be like, go do something else. Go out, enjoy your family, go get a bite to eat, hang out with your friends on a Saturday night. Like, skip this one and stick with MMA fighting. This one, if you want to sit and watch, like, I think you're going to have a good time. If you skip it, it's one you can go back and rewatch. Not a great card, not a terrible card. It's just very okay, is it not?
I guess. I feel like this question is not this exact question, but it's always, is this the worst fight night of the year? Is this the best fight night of the year? Every time the UFC leaves the Apex, that's the question. Like, I remember Jed saying that about the Canada Imavov. He's like, is this the worst fight night of the year? Probably not. We said the same thing about St. Louis. Is this the best? Is this the worst? Is this all right? Probably somewhere in there. So I don't know. There's a lot of fun fights on this card. There's a lot of competitive fights on this card. There's a lot of recognizable names. There's a lot of people coming back after long layoffs that we haven't seen in a long time. There's no title implications outside of the main event, and even then, like, the winner that's probably not fighting for the title next, especially if it's Rose Namajunas. Even Tracy. I know Tracy was on the MMA Hour saying, like, if she won, maybe she slots in there against Alexa Grasso if Valentina doesn't take the fight. But even if Tracy gets the win over Rose, I think she's one win away, and especially with Rose losing to Manon Farrow in her flyweight debut, Manon's, beat Aaron Blanchfield, who many people, including people on MMAfighting.com, crowned as an uncrowned champion. I still think the winner of this is one win away, but at least that's as close as we're going to get to title implications over any of these fights. So not the best, not the worst, but I think I've said that for every fight night outside of the Apex this year. So nothing new, fun fights, fun matchups, interesting names, interesting storylines. Boring answer. That's what I'll say is my answer.
Yeah, we got some, because I remember, AK, after UFC 303, we did on to the next one, and we were looking at this card. There was like 7 fights on there because Drew Dober was fighting the dreaded TBD. Nazim Sadikov was supposed to fight TBD. He's not even on this card anymore. Drew Dober gets a new opponent. And then the UFC, like, willy-nilly puts Montel Jackson, Damon Blackshear together. Like, literally in days' notice, Evan Elder versus Darius Flowers is announced for this card, just like literally out of nowhere, just to sort of fill up this lineup. And, like, we could have been fine with 10 here. Like, we could have been fine. I like the Montel Jackson fight, but it's just a weird one. Like, the build, new main event. We had, you mentioned Fatima Klein, who I'm very excited about. I didn't think she needed to fight on the Contender Series. Now she doesn't have to. She's stepping in to fight Jasmine Jasudavicius, opening as a favorite, which I was not prepared for. This is just a weird card. Like, everything has just been kind of jumbled together, but still it is intriguing in a bunch of different aspects.
I want to mention the Evan Elder Flowers thing first, because when that fight was like announced, I was like, why are they adding a fight? Because you're right, we had like 11, sort of a tidy 11 fight, 10 fight card, and it was like, yeah, this is okay. But then I realized, I'm not going to like say the UFC or the matchmakers, whatever, are forcing these guys to fight. It's very possible Evan Elder and Darius Flowers both got like, they just, listen, you got to fight to get paid. It's possible these guys have just been looking for a fight for the last, like, who knows, 2 or 3 months. And then, this opportunity comes along, like, oh yeah, we got a spot. They send feelers out to managers. Evan Elder's manager pipes up. Darius Flowers' manager pipes up. Boom, we have ourselves a fight. Guys are getting paychecks. Maybe a chance at a $50,000 bonus. So yeah, it's weird how these things are thrown together. But yeah, I don't know. Can't blame the UFC for doing it. More fights, I guess, in their eyes is always better. They have airtime to fill. They can get a 12-fight card. Plus, God forbid, anything falls through between now and Saturday night. They're more than prepared. We had just done the Midway Awards, the Midway 2024 Awards, and I wanted to talk about the UFC's kind of how unstoppable they are. We talk about this all the time, and I gave them the most MMA promotion because they just keep MMAing. Nothing will stop the UFC from MMAing. Like you said, even a card like this where it didn't even feel like they had a full lineup as of like 2 weeks ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as they have a decent headliner, which they do, and one that had to be saved because, again, Maycee Barber fell out, Tracy Cortez comes in, and then they have these veteran names and guys like Drew Dober, action fighters on there. As long as they can keep doing this, you're going to keep getting this content, that sweet, sweet, sweet content. I don't know if this is going to apply to next week. I won't jump ahead to the July 20th Apex card, which I know is already under some scrutiny. But I will say, when it comes to events like this, like, if you want an example of how the UFC, just one more example of how the UFC just is a machine that cannot be stopped, look at where this Denver event just seemingly materialized out of nowhere, and we just really don't have too many questions about it.
I'm looking at Ticketmaster right now. This is gonna be a legit sellout, like a legit sellout. There's maybe 100 non-resale tickets left. Most of them are in the upper decks. This thing's gonna sell out. They can do no wrong. No matter what they put together, the people are gonna come out and they're gonna spend $75 to sit in the highest section in the building, or much more to sit closer. They're just absolutely on fire. They are the star right now, and kudos to them. So, Jose, the fine folks of Denver, and all of us watching at home, the night will be capped off by Rose Namajunas, the former strawweight champion, facing Tracy Cortez. As everybody knows, Rose is supposed to fight Maycee Barber. A lot of people are very excited for that. If you listen to Rose's interview on the MMA Hour, she was very excited about that as well, to try to humble up Maycee Barber. But Maycee going through some health complications. Tracy Cortez, who's supposed to fight Miranda Maverick on next week's card, she steps up a week early to this main event spot. What do you think of this matchup? Is this going to be competitive? Do you like it better than Maycee, less than Maycee? You got to do what you got to do to keep Rose on this card, but how would you, I guess, assess your excitement levels for this main event?
I think they got a good matchup, or a good replacement for Maycee, because Tracy's been on this run in the UFC. You know, she has a win over Erin Blanchfield. Like, and I say win loosely because I think we all watched that fight. I think a lot of us thought Erin won. But I think Tracy, you know, her biggest weakness lately has been inactivity, and availability should be your best ability. And, you know, Tracy, no fault for her own. Tracy's gone through some health scares and had some injuries, but when she's in there, she's winning. Her last win was at Noche UFC, which was, you know, the biggest spotlight she had at the time, because all eyes were on that card, and she has a lot of, you know, impressive wins. She showed up at, I think did she fight at bantamweight on Fight Island? I think she fought at bantamweight. I'm like,
the first 2 or 3 fights.
So,
yeah. And then when she dropped back down, she had that split over Justine Kish, who is I don't think newer MMA fans are aware, but Justine Kish is, like, you know, one of those veterans of the game in women's MMA. Melissa Gatto was a big win, and Jazz Divigius, a popular fighter from the MMA Hour. She was coming off, I believe she had to come off that impressive win in Vancouver, if I remember correctly. So Tracy, you know, she's been slowly building her way up. I'm surprised. I'm glad she's got the opportunity. Rose is obviously one of the more violent female fighters on the entire roster. I thought if she had beaten, who's Tracy supposed to fight? She's supposed to fight Miranda Maverick. Man, if she beat Miranda Maverick, who's obviously one of Rose's training partners, I think she could have gotten thrown right into the top 5, top 7. I'm not gonna pick this fight solely because I've been covering Tracy since her very first MMA fight. I think I went to all of her regional fights. I think the first time I interviewed her was like 2017. She might have been 1-0 or 0-0 even. So I'm not going to pick this fight because, you know, journalism ethics and everything. I'm going to remove myself from that. I think more journalists should do that if you're close with specific fighters. So I'm not going to pick this fight, but I am glad Tracy's getting, you know, this opportunity at a main event. I'm sure she wishes it was on more than a couple weeks notice, but Rose is obviously one of the more popular fighters on the roster, male or female. So all eyes are going to be on her. I think if she is going to look for a path to victory, she's going to have to make this a real ugly, you know, clinchy, grindy fight. And I don't think Rose is going to allow that. It's going to be a tough fight for both ladies, I think. Rose, I assume, is the betting favorite, rightfully so. She's former champion, one of the better all-around martial artists in the game. But I'm not gonna pick this fight. That's not fair to either ladies.
AK, where are you at with this one? Because the problem with Rose is you just never know which Rose is going to show up. Are we going to get the Rose who beat Zhang Wei Li twice? Are we going to get the Rose who beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice? Or are we going to get the Rose who laid an egg against Carla Esparza and lost the title? We just don't know. It's always a big question mark when it comes to Rose. What kind of headspace is she going to be in? And can Tracy Cortez take advantage of that if Rose isn't at her best? So what's your thoughts on the matchup the day before? Do you give Tracy a good chance to pull off the upset?
Yeah, I mean, she certainly has a good chance. It's just so hard to see with Tracy because again, she has competed so sporadically. And we say a lot like it would be nice if fighters had more time to like, just hone their craft in training time as opposed to having to fight 2 or 3 times a year. Now Tracy's a little bit of a different case. Again, we do know she actually spent a lot of the time, before this fight recovering from an injury. So it's not like she's just been in the gym just grinding away and improving every day. Like I'm sure there is some of that, but there's been a lot of recovery too. So I don't know how much better she's got since beating Jasmine Jastovich, since beating Melissa Gatto 2 years ago. We just don't see her fight often enough. She has the toughness. She's going to have the size. Rose is such a big jump up in competition from her previous opponents with respect to all the names we've mentioned that Tracy has fought. And I don't think Rose is she's not like a tiny 125er. She's not big. She's on the smaller side, but she's not tiny. So I don't think that Cortez can just get a hold of her, toss her around, hold her down. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyone who listens to me pick fights on the regular knows that I'm wrong about these things all the time. So the fact that I feel so strongly about Rose winning, if you're a betting person, maybe you go the other direction. But I think people can understand what I'm saying here is like, if Tracy's peaking right now, then fine. I could totally believe that she's going to make the leap. She beats Rose. We look back on this as the fight where she turned the corner. It's just hard for me to think because Rose didn't even look that bad against Manon. Like she clearly lost, but I didn't think Rose looked bad against Manon. Manon, I think is just really, 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 really good. Like that wins more credit to Manon than like, oh, Rose, isn't an elite flyweight. Like I think Rose is pretty damn dangerous in 2 weight classes, and I think she's going to prove that again on Saturday. So I think she's a little too well-rounded. I actually think she can finish Tracy as well. I haven't written down my official prediction for MayFighting.com, but I'll do it now. Save myself some time, save listeners time. I'm going Rose Namajunas, second round submission. Third round submission. Let's go third round submission.
Third round submission.
You
already get the AK pick. We got the AK pick already. Jose, what the biggest question about this fight, I know you're not going to make a pick, is the elevation, because this fight is happening in Denver, and Tracy obviously doesn't train in Denver, but she went on the MAR and said it took her 2 days to get acclimated to the elevation in Denver, and I think that left a lot of people scratching their heads, but who knows? Maybe she spent a lot of time in Denver over the years and acclimates very quick to high elevation places. So is this a concern for you when you break down this fight, even if you don't make a pick? Is the elevation a concerning factor for you?
I mean, it's always going to be a concern regardless of who's in the main event, because I think Juliana Pena and her team said like the same thing when she fought Valentina in Denver. And I know that fight was relatively quick because Valentina tapped her, but anytime you hear that, it's alarming. I mean, there's a reason when they had that first big pay-per-view in Mexico, or the second big pay-per-view in Mexico, whichever one Henry Cejudo fought on, he moved out there like a month or two early to acclimatize, and he rented that house and was living and training there. And then Cain Velasquez went out like a week and a half or 10 days early. And now, sea level Cain is now one of those mythical creatures that we always talk about in MMA. So I don't know anything about how Tracy prepared for this camp. She's obviously preparing to fight in Las Vegas. And she obviously trains in Phoenix. Both of those have a decent elevation, but nothing compared to Denver, which I think is like 5,000 something feet. And I think last time I saw Phoenix was 1,000, maybe a little more than 1,000. And I don't know Vegas off the top. So very clearly preparing for an entirely different climate. I don't know anyone that can quote unquote acclimatize in 2 days. Maybe she, running and training is different than getting in an actual fist fight, which is mentally draining as on its own, both like physically and mentally, because you have to be on all of the time, and that just saps your energy as it is. So it is concerning to hear anyone say that, because elevation is real and elevation plays a major factor. We all remember those videos when like Mark Hunt took that fight against Verdum on short notice. He had to cut all that weight, and he's posting videos of himself running in Mexico and basically losing his mind, like laughing at everything he sees. Like he sees a reflection of himself and he's laughing. He's wearing the sauna suit. So that's alarming on its own. I can't imagine going 2 days early and trying to acclimatize. But I don't know anything about Tracy's prep for this fight at all. Or I know she was doing a lot at Neuroforce, whatever it was called in Scottsdale, at Fight Ready, which was right next door. I haven't heard of that Neuroforce place in a long time, so I don't know if they're still doing that. But If anyone's going to prep correctly, it's going to be Tracy. I know nothing. But yes, it is, to answer your question, yes, it is concerning that 2 days is not enough time to acclimatize to altitude.
Current betting odds: Rose Namajunas minus 218. The comeback on Tracy Cortez plus 180. My pick is Rose Namajunas. I think she gets in there. Might have a tough start. I think Tracy can kind of hoss her around a little bit. Tracy is the stronger fighter. Rose, I know, is long, a little bit leaner. I know she's put on a little bit of size, but Tracy fought comfortably at bantamweight, so she's going to be the bigger, stronger fighter, at least early. But I do think, to Jose's point, I think everything's going to kind of catch up to her. And then that's when Rose is going to be able to take advantage of that. And I think she gets finished here. Round 4, TKO. I think she lands a sneaky little head kick, drops Tracy, beats her up, and eventually gets her out of there. But I think Tracy has a good start to this fight. And I think she has maybe 2 rounds to get Rose out of there. Otherwise, I think things are going to catch up to her. But boy, oh boy, what a huge win it would be if Tracy Cortez can go in there and beat Rose Namajunas. She puts herself at worst in a number 1 contender fight. And I think Rose is in a similar spot as well. So availability is your best friend these days. And if something weird goes on, we can't get Valentina in there for a title shot, Manon Fiorot somehow can't get in there for a title shot, then one of these 2 ladies could be the next call, depending on who wins. So should be an interesting fight. We have Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikov. That is the co-main event. Drew Dober versus Gian Silva, just announced a few days ago. Dober was supposed to fight Mike Davis. Now he gets Gian Silva. Gian Silva just fought at UFC 303 against Charles Jourdain. Did miss weight, but knocked out Charles Jourdain in pretty brutal fashion. So a lot of people excited for that one. Gabriel Bonfim is back against Angelosa. Juliana Rosa versus Christian Rodriguez. And the main card opens in the middleweight division. Cody Brundage, first fight since the Bo Nickel loss at UFC 300, takes on the always dangerous get or get got first teamer Abdul Razak Al Hassan, and then some good prelims as well. Jose, I'll begin with you. What's the outside of the main event? What's the Jose Youngs spotlight fight of UFC Denver?
Well, I've been a big fan of Josh Van for a long time. I think I've said that a few times. It was like flyweight had this all of a sudden injection of like these really young prospects with Makhaev, Tyra, and I always thought Josh Van was like the 3rd name that people should have been talking about. Just he's had some bad luck. He was actually supposed to fight Tyra. He's supposed to fight Sumidarji and someone else I can't remember off the top of my head. But like those were beating Tyra would have obviously been a big deal. And then Sumidarji is one of those guys that is in. Like, you're going to have a really long night when you fight him because of just how durable he is. So I was excited for, not a showcase fight, but like I wanted to see him in a high caliber fight. So the Josh Van, I'm obviously really excited about. I'm absolutely gutted that we lost Mike Davis versus Drew Dober. Like, Mike Davis might be the most snake bitten fighter on the UFC roster because there's pulling out with nagging injuries, and then there's these debilitating injuries that Mike Davis just can't seem to avoid. It seems like every time he gets hurt, it's one of those, he's going to be out 9 to 12 month injuries, and it's going to be a lot of rehab, and the next thing you know, he's out of his prime, and he's one of those guys that fights like once a year, once every 2 years, and he's always in an exciting fight. So gutted for the Mike. I thought Mike Davis Drew Dober was such an electric fight. Obviously Drew Dober is one of those guys you got to tune in to watch. I don't know if he still has it. He might be tied, but at one point he had the most knockouts in UFC lightweight history. I think it was between him and Poirier for a long time, and I think they kept tying, and then one would leapfrog the other one, and then they tie again. So excited to see what Drew Dober does. Those are the 2 big ones I thought of. I think who's Angelusa fighting again?
Gabriel Bonfim.
Oh yeah, I mean that's Angelusa. Has he had a fight since? Who did he get poked in the eye against? The tough
Battle
guy. Yeah, that was a tough scene because then they tried to fight after the fight after getting eye poked. So I'm curious how he bounces back. Gabriel Bonfim is, one of those guys we've earmarked for a long time, is one of those electric fighters. So again, like we said earlier, a lot of electric matchups, but if I had to pick 2, it'd be Josh Van. I think he's a really, really talented, high-level flyweight prospect in a division that's all of a sudden very, very exciting. With as the champion said on the red carpet, he loves how the division is shaking out right now. A lot of these young guys on the up and up, and then Drew Dober, because I think he's the premier knockout artist at lightweight. You never want to miss those matchups.
We have breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the music.
Very breaking news.
Oh,
sorry,
no.
Mike, I got excited. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Is it good or bad? Is it good or bad?
It's not good.
Oh, no.
It's real bad.
I gotta tell you, when I first saw this message, it was a typo. And I'll explain in a moment.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Tracy Cortez missed weight by a pound. 127. Lord. It was announced at UFC.com is saying 126.5. Either way, it's still a weight miss. When I first got the Slack message from the gentleman covering our weigh-ins right now, it said 137. And
holy
I
crap.
was like, oh my God, that is a 10 plus pound weight miss. Yes, but apparently it's 126.5 after the box of shame. So Tracy Cortez missing weight by half pound. No word on whether or not she will reweigh, if she can reweigh, because I don't know the rules in Denver. AK, I have no idea. So we'll see.
First off, I have a comment saying, why does AK insist on saying Yasadavicius incorrectly? That's how she said to pronounce it, my friend. She also doesn't mind what's the anglicized version? Jazdavicius. She said that's fine too, but it is, if you're cool like me and trying to pronounce it the Lithuanian way, it is Yasadavicius. So Tracy Cortez. Oh gosh, I was dreading this because she has missed weight before at bantamweight, which is always troubling when someone has had weight issues at a heavier weight class. But that was so long ago.
She missed a bantamweight.
Oh, she didn't miss a bantamweight. I'm sorry. The Justin Keach fight. I'm sorry.
The Keach fight. Yeah, she.
The Keach fight. She hasn't missed a bantamweight. That'd be really bad. I should say sorry. When someone's coming down from a heavier weight class though and misses weight, it's concerning. It's always a little concerning. So this one now, it sounds like it'll be like, we can't say it's officially 2 weight misses. She is getting an additional hour to cut.
Yep.
I have to think she'll make it unless something's wrong, unless she's suffering some sort of illness. So I'm not gonna say it's a total disaster yet. We're talking about half a pound here. It's not encouraging. It's definitely not encouraging. We've just talked a lot about her having to prepare to fight in Denver and acclimate herself to the elevation. How is this affecting her? I don't know if this is related to the weight cut, but again, this is just one more thing where if you're picking this fight on Saturday, you've got to look at all these factors. We didn't even mention the bigger cage. This will be the standard UFC cage, not the Apex cage, which I would think benefits a speedier, kind of slicker fighter like Rose Namajunas. So just tough to see. It was alarming when Rose was the very first fighter to weigh in. And I think normally when, I wouldn't say it's all the time, but very often for most events, the fighters in the top 2 fights are within the first 5 or 6 fighters to weigh in. That's not always the case, especially with heavyweights. If heavyweights are headlining, you might not see one of the main eventers till the very end. But otherwise, they're pretty good. If you're making a statement if you're in the main event. So she is one of the last 2 fighters. I think we're only waiting now for Josh Fremd. So it was a little concerning. There was still plenty of time. There's actually half an hour left in the official weigh-in window. But I think anyone who is, again, knows she had missed in the past and knows that she's had a lot of just difficulty outside the cage. I think you're probably worried that it was taking her so long to come to the scale.
Well, now she gets another hour, so we'll see.
She has an hour.
There. But AK, what's your spotlight fight outside of the main event?
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones here. For weirdness' sake, I'm kind of looking at this Luana Santos, Maria Agapova fight. Good to see Maria Agapova back. If anyone has been sort of keep track of her recent interviews, again, these are allegations, so we can't say for sure. But she's been saying she's been having a pretty rough time of it. She said she's homeless. She said that the people she's had to stay with are kind of exploiting her, maybe not treating her in the best way. Again, these are just her claims. That I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. That these people that she's accusing, but either way, it does feel like there's something going on with her outside the cage. Once upon a time, I think we viewed Agapova as a pretty big prospect before the. Mike, what was the fight with? She was a minus 1,200 favorite. Do you remember? Or minus 800 favorite. Shauna Dobson. And the line was wide, but we were all yeah, she's probably going to win. And that was a disaster for her. And that she's never really quite recovered since. There's been a lot of outside the cage drama involving other fighters as well. Allegations made against her. So it's just interesting to see her back. And I'm very curious how this is going to turn out. I think Luana Santos is a very legit prospect at 125. She said she had some recent health problems as well, so you guys can check that out. Guillermo Cruz, of course, spoke to her, and she talked about some pretty serious stuff that was affecting her ability to make weight. And she says she's 100% healthy now, as a lot of fighters like to say before going into a big fight. So from a anything could happen standpoint, like no result would surprise me. I'm a little curious to see what's going to go down with Luana Santos and Maria Agapova.
A little bit of an update on the weigh-in situation. Tracy Cortez will continue to cut, but she has to make weight before the allotted window. So she has 30 minutes to make it.
All right. Doable.
So
I'm not a doctor. It's doable.
Yeah, it's half pound. Just jump in the sauna. Easier said for us, right?
Easier
said for us.
Half a pound. That's nothing. I've never cut weight
half a
before,
pound.
So. I can't lose 1 pound over 2 weeks, so I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge Tracy Cortez if she's having some troubles here. But
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's bring in Casey Leydon and bring in the peeps. See what they have to say about UFC Denver and the final road show before 304, because we're back at the world's most famous Apex next Saturday for a card. The Apex show is going to be the most forgotten card of the weekend.
We're in Tampa next week. We ain't at the Apex. We in
That's
Tampa.
right.
There's an Apex card next week.
That's right. There is. Yes.
Rumor, lies. All right.
You will be in Tampa, will you not, Casey?
Of course. I don't miss those spectacles. All right. Let's start with a little positivity. We're kind of maybe people criticizing Tracy Cortez, but look at Joseph Boza.
Considering Tracy was coming back from an injury and an off-roading accident and with short notice, 126.5 is good.
No, it's not good.
You're wrong.
I'm sorry, guys. It's not good. It's not good. Like,
yeah. The big issue of Tracy is going to be, with only 30 minutes, and of course we're not there, is how much her body cooled down coming to the scale weight, because that's always, if you talk to fighters, like the whole hour issue, because to cut that weight again, you got to get your body temperature up, get your heart rate up, and that alone, which probably takes 20 minutes at least. So really, you don't have 30 minutes. So it's going to be tough for Tracy to make that 126. I'm kind of curious too why, because there's a scale right behind, like an official scale or unofficial scale, but it's calibrated right before they walk on the stage, so they know their weight when they're going to come out to the official, to the weigh-in. So I'm kind of curious why she showed up 30 minutes before when she, I assume, knew she wasn't on weight. So just weird.
Very good question. Yeah, very good question. Don't know
the answer.
I think the good news is this fight is gonna go through. I mean, I don't know. This could be one of those Saturday morning cancellations, weight cut related illness. We all wake up to it. Fingers crossed that it isn't that. But I think at least initially, Rose will take this fight, even if Tracy's over. We'll get the 20% penalty, and again, it'll be official at least until it isn't. So that's the one good thing. But now, if Tracy doesn't make the weight and she wins, it definitely casts a shadow over it and kind of erases any talk of, not any talk, but it really hurts Tracy's chances of getting that short notice title opportunity.
I don't think there's really whatever. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, well-known names, some fresh new faces, returning fighters, the effects of altitude, a live crowd, intriguing storylines. I ain't mad at it. Yeah, it's not a bad card. It's not a great card, but it's not a bad card.
Yeah.
We'll have fun.
UFC Denver, I ain't mad at it. That's a good tagline. If they still did taglines for events, stuff, I ain't mad at it.
Yeah.
How could you be? It's good fighters on here.
This is pretty much the should be the slogan for fight nights. UFC
until next
fight
week.
Night. Well,
no. Sometimes I am mad at it though, Casey. So you can't make it for every fight night.
All right. Well. Oh yeah, live. Well, okay, fight nights on the road. Yeah, live crowd. Yeah. All right.
So great because Saturday you get some fights. Sunday you can chill out. Monday you got the home run derby, and then you get the All-Star game. So it's a great week, and then you go right into Jake Paul versus Mike Perry.
Oh yeah.
These are the prelims. This is the prelim weekend.
All right.
Santiago Ponzinibbio and Muslim Salikov have each lost 3 of their last 4 fights. Are they fighting to save their jobs?
I mean, I don't know they're fighting to save their jobs. I feel like this is almost our Arlovsky situation where I don't know their contract status. I have to imagine both guys are
Yeah.
pretty close to the end of it. I would also add they're both they've got some mileage on them. Santiago's 37. I think Salikov just turned 40 like a few days ago. So yeah, he's 40. Happy birthday, Muslim Salikov. I think it was on like Tuesday or something like that. So happy birthday. But yeah, both guys have seen declining results. Both guys have been in the game a long time. Both guys have been involved martial arts a long time. So beyond just MMA. So this is more of a. I don't know if they're fighting for their jobs, but I think for themselves, they're going to have to. Whoever loses is definitely kind of be looking a little bit inward here and saying like, man, how much do I have left? And again, if they don't have any fights left in their contract, or sorry, if they only have 1 or 2 fights left in their contract, yeah, whoever loses is very likely just on their way out. So it's weird to say like fighting for their jobs, more related to their age than necessary and like sort of their stature with the company, if that makes sense.
Jose?
Santiago Ponzinibbio ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
he's
Ponzinibbio's
literally
good.
the UFC. He's literally the UFC commentator for UFC Espanol. Like,
I mean, he can still do that and not fight. He can still do that.
Well, I think if he's, I don't think he's, but like fighting for his career, I think if he loses, he might retire. Like, it might be like a Paul Felder type thing. But like fighting for their job is not how I would phrase it. Like, if he retires, he's still going to stick around. But I don't think they're going to cut him. He's going to go fight in PFL or Ryzen or anything like that. I think Ponzinibbio is fine. He's the Paul Felder, Mike Bisping. I don't know enough about Salikov. Being 40 and losing 3 of 4, and I think he's lost to Dalby and maybe Randy Brown, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I think that was a fight. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he got knocked dead by Randy Brown.
He did.
So if he gets melted by Ponzinibbio, and that's 3 straight losses, 2 of them by knockout, it might be an Arlovsky situation where they don't just re-sign him. But Ponzinibbio ain't going nowhere. He's gonna stick around for a while. He's also very, very good at color commentary. I think he's better. I would love to see Santiago Ponzinibbio do an English commentary. Yeah, I think he's so good at Spanish commentary. Yeah, he's better than Brandon Moreno. I think Brandon Moreno is very good, but I think Santiago Ponzinibbio is the best his Spanish-speaking commentator they got. Verdum was very good, but Ponzinibbio is better.
It'd be nice to have a Spanish-speaking commentator for Noche UFC. Just saying. I know they're going to go with probably the old Rogan Cormier Anik combo, which is fine, but it'd be nice to have a Spanish speaker on there.
Yeah, just get Dominic Cruz in there. He's Hispanic American.
Riyadh season.
Yeah, dog.
Riyadh season.
Oh, I forgot the Riyadh season.
With a Spaniard headlining.
Yeah. Noche UFC, UFC 306.
Respect the
presented by Otter Pops.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think either guy is in jeopardy, honestly.
Yeah.
Neither are making, like, Andre Arlovsky was making $325,000 a fight.
He's making more too, for sure.
It probably more than that. He's probably making $500,000 to fight in the prelims.
Minimum.
So there's very little chance the UFC is going to re-sign them. Ponzinibbio has a name. Salikov at least has a name, had a ranking at one point. I would say neither is making 6 figures here. Maybe Ponzinibbio if he wins. But I don't think either of these guys are breaking the bank, if you will. So I think they'll both be fine.
All right.
Unless there's a retirement.
Fantastic super chat coming right now from Oscar Lara.
787. If either Rose or Tracy wins, will Dana use this to impromptu remind us how neither are as good as John Jones?
Very good.
That's very good. That was good.
Very good.
Genuine.
LOL.
I'll say this: I will be actually very surprised if Dana's even here. I don't think Dana's coming to this one. He's on vacation, baby. He's in Maine.
That's right.
So he won't be here.
Yeah. All right.
Save that for Manchester after Tom Aspinall Curtis Blades fight. You're getting a John Jones thing here. Oh, please.
Quick update.
Please.
Tracy has weighed in at 126 according to UFC.com and UFC News. So
there you go.
She cut the half. We don't have video. There's no video anywhere. I like to believe she shaved her head and is as bald as Rose right now. I have a feeling that's probably not the case, but we'll have video on MMAfighting.com shortly. Trust me, it's it'll be out there. But
AK, you got to give me a heads up on that. Give me some breaking news. I had
Oh,
the music cue. You just said it.
I mean, this isn't that breaking.
That's not even your
like
job, man. That's Heck's job. What are you doing, AK?
I feel like the other news was.
He's the weigh-in guy. He's the weigh-in guy. So
you got to lead me. You got to lead me in. Come on, man. You just ruined it. That should have been a big thing. Like,
do you want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay. How do I?
John Jones is better.
Should I DM you? Oh. This just in. Tracy Cortez has made weight. 126. That is 126. Her fight with Rose Namajunas is official. UFC Denver main event is official. It's cats and dogs out here, guys. I'll back to you, Casey.
Well done.
I don't see Casey. Maybe there was a
Back
haircut.
to you, Mike. Back to you, Mike.
Maybe there was a haircut. It appears there might have
cats
been.
and dogs.
Not a shaved head, but apparently
let's see,
half a pound of hair.
I know Amy Kaplan's down there. I know she's been sending video. Let's see if she will let people know right away. I would love it.
Aaron Bronstetter is tweeting out photos as well.
All right.
If she apparently she weighed in holding about 6 inches of hair in her hand.
Oh,
according to this photo by Aaron Bronstetter. She weighed in and held up like this big chunk of hair, and she very clearly got a haircut. So good on you, Tracy.
Wow. Yeah.
Wait, I'm assuming she weighed in without the hair and then got on the scale with there just to show it. Not weighed in with, because that wouldn't make sense to cut the hair and then hold the hair.
Yeah, who's the hair holder?
It's her. Like, you know how Heidi goes, look at the camera and she counts to 3.
Okay, after she weighed in. All right,
she
got
got
you.
Holy moly, dude, that's a lot of hair.
Yes, we have video. UFC Espanol has video. Very emotional Tracy Cortez, who still has a ton of hair in her head, by the way. She cut a lot of hair and still has a lot of hair. So not the craziest sacrifice, but yeah, she had to do it.
You want to be a fighter?
They want to be a fighter.
Man, back in the Invicta days, a fighter came in like a pound over, and Esther Lynn actually cut all her hair off so she can make weight, because Esther can cut hair too. So this is fun aspect of women's MMA. Just all right, hack it off. I like it.
Damn.
Jane Burgos cut his hair during a fight.
Do you remember when
UFC debut?
Obviously, Brian Ortega is the famous one because he went from like Thursday he had long hair to Friday morning he had literally like a skinhead. But remember that video of Daniel Strauss, like, God, name I haven't thought of in a long time, when he was struggling to make weight and he just goes, give me the scissors, because he had long dreads.
Yeah, kind of.
And his corner was like, are you sure? And he's like, looks up and he just goes, give me the fucking scissors. And then he just takes them and walks into the back and then shows up with no hair. Oh my God.
That's crazy. Right. Good for you, Tracy. Gets it done.
Yeah, she did it.
All right. I got some more super chats.
John Jones ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Mike, don't get him started. Don't get him started, Mike.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Achilles Jr., big can lover, is here. We have that in common, AK.
Oh, yeah.
Love the big cans, guys. Headphones. Shout out to all my headphones enthusiasts out there. Love the big cans.
A question just for AK. $5 for you, AK. Oh, no, guys. I missed it. Sorry. This is for all of us. But AK, I'll give it to you. Your picks on who's getting bonuses Saturday. AK and Jose. I will give mine tomorrow with Casey, but who gets them?
Man, I just said, like, I think there's going to be a lot of decisions on this card, like a lot of, mostly entertaining competitive decisions. But okay, let's assume fight of the night, 2 bonuses format.
Let's take a gander. Let's
take a gander. I think Drew Dober, John Silva, whoever wins this fight, got to get that fight of the, got to get a performance. 100%. And by the way, I do, Mike, who's John Silva's manager? Do we know? Because they have done that jumping on this fight is a spectacular move. Spectacular. Because he missed weight for that last fight and then scores a highlight reel knockout, which is awesome. And then now is jumping in to fight Drew Dober. That weight miss is forgotten. I mean, people that is already forgotten. This is how you turn your image around like real quick, because I hate seeing people miss weight.
Fans, the best recipe for being popular is winning spectacularly.
That's it. Get back in there, man. Or have all out wars, which you might have with Drew Dober. But I can't see this going past like the first round. Someone's getting smoked.
No. So I think Dober's going to put him to bed. I think
Okay.
Montel Jackson might put Damon. I think Damon Blackshear, Montel Jackson might be a banger too.
I'm trying to think. The other bonus. Yeah, Jackson Blackshear could be like a fight of the night. But I feel like they haven't really been giving prelim fight. Because I remember what was the great grappling match we just saw with
That's true.
Saruya, and like that was so. And they didn't even mention it at the end of the night. I'm like, that was the best fight of the night. That fight was so good, but it wasn't like a stand-up war or whatever. I'm sticking with my. I will say I'm sticking with my weirdness thing. I think like Luana Santos or something, or like crazy submission. I don't know. And then I know, you know what though. But if Rose gets a finish, I get a bonus. So I don't know.
I think
what do you think fight of the night? What do you think fight of the night, Jose?
I think the Julian Erosa Christian Rodriguez fight is an underrated gem because Julian Erosa is a guy like he's lost a bunch by stoppage, but then he's in those like back and forth brawls, and you know he's one of those long fluid fighters that likes to throw a lot of head kicks, so that could result in a performance bonus. And then Abdul Razak Al Hassan is he either goes to bed or puts you to bed. Whether Cody Brundage is on either end of that, I don't know. But there's no clear this is going to win fight of the night for me. I don't see any. There's a lot of performance bonuses, I think.
Yeah, mine could change. I'm going to go Rose. Whoever wins the Cody Brundage, Abdul Razak Al Hassan fight. Because either ARA is just going to kill Cody, or Cody's going to just walk through an ass whooping and then just tap Abdul in round 2, like a big comeback finish. Fight of the man, I have no idea. I'll say Jasmine Jasdavicius Fatima Klein fight of the night.
Damn, that'd be fun.
Because that's gonna be fun. That is going to be a fun fight. So
I think the Ange Lusa fight could be, because I know everyone remembers him getting stabbed in the face, but that Reese McKee fight is underrated. The one, I think that was in Paris, right? I think that was an underrated fight, just because of everything else that happened in that fight. But that was a back and forth brawl. But he did lose to Munir, which I don't hold in high regard.
Well, what also kind of hurts Angelos as well. Like he's a plus 270 underdog in this fight, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the way the Brian Battle fight ended, because Brian Battle put out this narrative. And not only did he say that, but I think Dominic Cruz and Michael Bisping also said that during the broadcast.
Said it in the octagon, and the cameras accidentally caught him.
That he quit. That Angelosa quit and looked for a way out. I think Angelosa could be a little sneaky dog pick in this fight. Like, I don't think he wins, but I think he's being like completely undervalued because of that whole situation. So he's at Killcliff, man. It's not like he's training in his backyard with like his neighbor. Dude's at Killcliff with like all those killers over there.
Yeah. The fans have him as the biggest underdog on the card with only 6%.
That's wild.
Picking Lusa.
That is wild. I think he's going to lose, but I don't think he should be that massive of an underdog.
No, I completely agree with that.
I think the Johnson-Josh Van fight could be fun. I think Johnson could get a lot of scrambles, but I think Josh Van is such a high-level martial artist that he might, survive the grappling aspects, and Charles Johnson's not a guy you can knock out very easily. I think that could be a little fun scrap.
I like that fight a lot. That's a good. It's gonna be an excellent test for Van.
Yes,
that's kind of my. That's my low key favorite fight.
I wish he fought Tetsuya Taira. That would have been such a fun fight.
It'd be fun, but I like the way I kind of like Taira Perez better. Was it Perez he fought? Right? Yeah, Perez. I like.
I think he was supposed to fight someone before. Or I don't remember. But the Josh Van Taira fight would have been a lot of fun because I like prospects.
Taira supposed to fight Tim Elliott. Then he was supposed to fight Josh Van. And then Taira went to Perez. Van went to Ulanbekov.
Yeah.
And then
Ulanbekov
missed weight. And the fight was off. And now Van's fighting on this card.
Hey, but also good on. So Van declined the fight when Ulanbekov missed weight. I'm trying to remember. Or
no, I don't remember. Fight just got scrapped.
Oh, fight just got scrapped. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool.
All right. Who wants? All right, we'll play a little game here. Who's the biggest favorite on the card? According to DraftKings, take a guess.
Let me look at the whole.
I think I already looked, so I won't play this game. I think I did see it.
Who is the biggest favorite? Is it? It's not Gabriel Bonfim?
Santos?
No, he's one of the top 3.
Is it Santos?
Santos?
It was
Elder?
Santos all week, but no longer. Evan Elder is the correct answer. Minus
Yeah.
410.
Yeah.
Santos minus 395. Bonfim minus 340. Those are the three biggest favorites.
Yeah. Darius Flowers has had this is his third fight in the UFC. If I remember correctly. Man, debuting on short notice against Jake Matthews in Salt Lake City and then going right into a Michael Johnson fight for your first two fights is tough. And that Jake Matthews fight is another underrated fight, I think, because that's the one when Jake Matthews like hit him with a straight, and then Darius Flowers like got on wobbly legs and did like the Bambi thing, but he was pretending. So Jake Matthews rushed in, and Darius Flowers all of a sudden like locked up and just blasted him between the face. And even Jake Matthews laughed at that like during the fight. He like pointed at me and goes, "You got me. You almost got me." I think Darius Flowers was a lot of fun, but yeah, that is a tough string of fights.
All right. Got a few more super chats.
Terrence, I think the altitude affected her working out to get the weight off. Who has the most to lose this weekend? Jose, thoughts on Red Hulk in trailer?
You guys can talk about the MMA stuff before I go on this long tangent.
Okay. This trailer is that new Captain America, that new Captain America trailer.
Yes.
Okay. I don't watch.
Okay,
I try to avoid watching trailers. All right.
Okay, who's the most to lose this weekend?
Who has the most to lose this weekend? Well, we talked about how if Muslim loses, but again, it's not like it's not like Muslim is. His UFC run might be over, but it's not like he's like near a title shot or something. It's not like if it's like, oh no, Muslim went from being a contender to being out of the UFC. So he's not. It's not like a huge drop off. It sounds like such an insult towards Muslim Salikov, but I'm just like sort of presenting the reality of the situation. I'll say, I think Jasmine Jasdavich just has a little bit here to lose because I know she's the underdog for Fatima Klein, but like. She went from being if she had beaten Viviane Araújo, I think that would have made her top 15 in the UFC's rankings. I'm pretty sure. Maybe top 15 in our rankings. Ours is a little deeper because we have non-UFC people in there. So to go from possibly earning and I think Viviane is really tough, but maybe just because we know more about her, like maybe an easier fight in a way. So she went from the opportunity to get a number next to her name to if she beats Klein, I sincerely doubt she gets Jasmine already is.
She's 15.
Jasmine's already ranked. Okay. I think she could have moved up. Because Viviane, I assume, is what, 12, 13?
10.
Not top 10? 10. Okay, so there we
10.
go.
Yep.
So, so Jasmine would have presumably taken that 10 spot. I don't think she takes that 10 spot now with the win over Klein. And the last thing you want to be is just like not fodder, but viewed as fodder for a prospect. Like, again, people are very high in Klein. Obviously, that's why she's the favorite. I mean, those are her UFC debut. She's super young. She's like 22, 23 years old. And, hopefully if you're Jasmine, you don't get looked back on as like, oh, the first win in Fatima's climb to a title. So I don't think too many people have that much to lose here, because I think even Rose, if she loses to Tracy, she's so popular, she's really only one or two big wins away from she's in the title conversation, like for as long as she wants to be, given her past reputation. So even if she loses to Tracy, it's not the worst thing. But I do think Jasmine, if she loses to Klein, puts a really big cap on like what her ceiling could be.
Jose, Red Hulk trailer.
I really like the Red Hulk as a character quite a bit. What they are.
We rewind real quick. Why is the Hulk red now?
You got to explain this to Casey.
Totally different.
It's a different guy now.
This is not Mark Ruffalo. It's not Mark Ruffalo. It's not Edward Norton. It's not who was the first? Eric Bana.
No, before Eric Bana. Who's the original? The original.
Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
But who was Bruce Banner? Who was the guy who played Bruce Banner in the original show?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Ooh, stumped us.
I very much enjoyed, I think it was 2008, the introduction of the Red Hulk, because there's a big mystery over who his human form was. Like, we saw Red Hulk do things, but we didn't know who he actually was. He just kind of appeared. He also was smart. He wasn't a raging Hulk. And he used weapons, which was very interesting. He shot the Watcher in the face, and he like beat him up too. So it was very interesting to see Hulk that was smart, highly intelligent, like a master strategist, while also being just physically stronger than everyone else. The only problem, it's not even a problem, his biggest weakness is he doesn't get stronger as he gets angrier. He literally emits heat. Like he can walk and like the sidewalks will melt. The angrier he gets, because he emits massive amounts of like heat, which the first time they finally defeated him is because he got so angry he overheated and passed out, because he was like melting things around him. It ended up being Thunderbolt Ross, which is Betty Ross's father, who's obviously being played by Harrison Ford, originally played by William Hurt. So if you're spoiler alert, because for years we didn't know who Red Hulk was. It turned out to be Thunderbolt Ross, which no one expected. That was an absolutely fantastic swerve. Eventually, obviously, became a good guy, joined the Avengers, started his own Thunderbolt team. Thunderbolts are just the Suicide Squad of the Marvel comic book. So if we're getting Harrison Ford as Red Hulk, I'm all about it. I wish they would do a little more mystery involved, because that's what made Red Hulk so fascinating to begin with. They did the Defenders, which was like Hulk, Silver Surfer, and Submariner versus Red Hulk. I can't remember who Silver Surfer fought versus. Might have been Terax versus. Again, I can't remember. But Red Hulk is great. Red Hulk is a lot of fun. I wish they did a little more mystery involved in it. He's probably going to join the Thunderbolts in the MCU, which is whatever. That team is going to be very boring as it is. But I think the biggest travesty is all of the good stuff that's involved the Hulk in the comic books they're making in the MCU, but they are not involving Bruce Banner. I think that's the tragedy, because Hulk is, in my mind, the most underappreciated Marvel character in comic book history, and is in the Mount Rushmore of Marvel heroes, without question, in my mind. I wish they would do more with Hulk, because he's such a layered, fascinating character.
I like Mark Ruffalo. I just like to add that. That's my contribution.
I thought Ed Norton was a fantastic Hulk.
I'm a big Mark Ruffalo guy.
Completely agree.
I don't even care who plays the Hulk. I just wish they would use. We don't have to get into this. I'm going to talk way too long, but I think Hulk is such a fantastic character, and it's a whole thing. We don't have to get into it.
Too late.
Yeah.
Well,
yes. Thoughts are TBD. Thoughts are TBD.
Mark Ruffalo was fantastic in the movie Just Like Heaven, which if you have not watched it, he plays a guy who falls in love with Reese Witherspoon, and she's a ghost. So there you go. Check that out on any streaming service.
Have you seen You Can Count on Me with Mark Ruffalo?
No, that was his first big role, I think. Right? I think
Dude,
that was his first
that movie is so good. You Can Count on Me with Mark Ruffalo and Laura Linney. Laura Linney, I think.
I heard it's sad.
It is sad. It's a character drama. But man, it is very good. That's why I was like, oh man, this guy can act. And now he's like this big green guy. Good for him.
Love me some Ruffalo.
All right, lots of super chats. Hold on.
Yes, yeah. We should get to this.
Steven, Jose, are you podcasting from the kitchen? Sean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. My new New York apartment everything's kind of in one room. So yes, the kitchen is behind me, and all my books are to the left of me, including Immortal Hulk, one of the best Marvel comic books you'll read in the last 10 years.
Honestly, I'm looking at my kitchen right now.
There you go.
Current setup in Casa Heck.
AK, your kitchen. How's your kitchen location?
I'm inside of an egg, as you guys know. I always record inside of an egg.
You're even wearing
as I have for many years. So I'm actually in an egg, which is inside a frying pan, which is inside of a kitchen. So yes, I'm a very similar situation to you guys. I'm being boiled right now.
Nothing but the best. Best. Steven, wow. Boys, it's 2:35 a.m. and I woke up to pee.
You got to read it out.
I always miss the show,
very
but not
generous
today.
He paid for that.
Not today.
Oh,
he paid for this. I watched Ariel. Poirier confuses me. Give me your predictions on what's next. Thug Rose. Predictions for what's next for Poirier?
Mike, what was the last Thug? That was Thug Rose. Thug Rosie at the end.
Thug Rose.
There we go.
I hope I gave you $14.99 worth.
He fell into the toilet.
Someone helps.
Predictions for Dustin Poirier. Anyone have a Dustin Poirier prediction?
He's not fighting Michael Chandler again. This is one of the strangest post-fight feuds I've seen. Yeah. I shouldn't say that. This happens all the time in MMA, where guys after they fight go back and forth.
He should absolutely fight Michael Chandler again. By the way,
please don't. Please don't.
No.
I have.
We are getting a McGregor Poirier 4, just to and with Chandler as the backup fighter.
Oh,
just to,
yeah. That's much more likely. I just don't. This feud with Chandler is. I remember
Is it
there
a
was
feud?
bad blood.
Is it a feud?
I
What do you
don't know.
mean?
I get it. Listen, they've
Seems as-
never liked each other. There was bad blood before they fought. There was crowd scuffles before they fought. The fight, there was a great fight that they actually had, and then but that's the kind of feud that should have been over when they fought. They fought. It's like, oh, these are two guys who, for the most part, fans like. I say for the most part because everyone loves Dustin Poirier, and for the most part, I think a lot of people like Chandler. But for him to like continue like in a very Conor McGregor-esque way, like beef after being definitively beaten, is so strange. And I know he has nothing to do because he's waiting for a Conor fight that's never going to happen. But like, just keep posting inspirational.
Is this your official standpoint on that? It's never going to happen because that wasn't you when we did Tough Watch.
I know, but listen, I've moved on to the Ultimate Fighter 32 now. Okay, I gave it up until the Ultimate Fighter 32, and then once the Ultimate Fighter 32 started, I'm like, well, if they didn't fight by then, we've moved on. Valentina Shevchenko, Grasso 3. That's all I.
You think those two coaches are going to fight too?
They may not fight either.
Eventually, maybe not Sphere, but. And again, well, listen, I don't have to answer that question until Ultimate Fighter 33.
That's true. What do I think is going to happen? Don't know, don't care. What do I want to happen? I want to see the trilogy between Justin Gaethje. That's what I want to happen.
Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz is great too.
That's what I want.
If Nate comes back to the UFC, which I don't think is going to happen, then sign me up.
International Fight Week 2025. Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier. Final fight of Dustin's career. They do the tour. They Derek Jeter it.
Please, God,
make a big deal out of it. Yeah, I would like to see them do that.
I don't want to see Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz loves press
again.
tours. I think that's who.
You know what I want?
Not Nate. No, not Nate. Nate doesn't get involved at all.
Oh.
We're talking. This is the Dustin Poirier show. Nate just shows up to fight. Fight week can be Nate, but this is the Dustin Poirier farewell.
No,
he goes to every event, does a scrum, does something with the peeps. That's what he needs to do.
I want to see both these guys just show up on Friday, weigh in, and then fist fight on Saturday. That's all I care about. We've been interviewing Dustin Poirier for about. I talked to him yesterday before I interviewed him. It was the first time I ever interviewed Dustin Poirier was after his fight against Pablo Garza, a name I also haven't thought about until I interviewed, like the tallest lightweight ever at one point, right? And he's like, oh, that was 13 years ago. And I was like, holy shit, that was 13 years ago. I've been interviewing Dustin Poirier for 13 years. Just go fight Nate Diaz, man. And then I don't care if you do any media. That sells itself. Connor's tweets will sell it. Him just complaining the whole time will sell that fight.
See, that's fun. But just have fun, UFC. Go ahead, have some fun.
The Gaethje trilogy would be a lot of fun.
That's fun too. I don't care who he fights. Just make a big deal out of it. Last fight.
Is it weird that fight, like the trilogy fight between Justin and Dustin, would actually make sense? Both of them are coming off losses to Islam and the current BMF. I'm like, it would make sense. Like if both of them are sticking around, that fight actually makes sense right now. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
All right. Yeah, we got a few super chats that are unrelated to this card, so we'll start hitting those now.
Mason, happy Friday, guys. Unrelated question, which might be better suited for another show. Is UFC 304 being overshadowed by 305, 306, or other announced fights? I feel like I'm not hearing much hype.
What's the main event of UFC 306?
You don't know.
Exactly. I think the question surrounding 306 is overshadowing Dana saying he's dropping a buttload of money on 306, and then 305. Is there a co-main event yet? Like the main event is great, but I'm very excited for 305. Very, very excited.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is KKF Vinny Siggs the co-main, or that's just a fight?
I don't know. I think they are currently, from what I've heard, trying to add maybe one more big fight.
Okay.
Yeah, with 304, I don't know if it's being overshadowed. It's just that listen, it's been locked in for over a month now, so we're just ready and waiting for it. We just want it to be over with. Yeah, like Jose kind of said, it's the speculation around some of the other cards. Well, around 306 that makes it so intriguing, and it's the main event of 305. Like I would argue pretty comfortably that Dricus du Plessis Izzy is a much bigger fight than either of the 304 title fights. So there you go. People are really looking forward to that one fight. I think the time zone thing also turned a lot of people off to UFC 304. Not that it matters to us. I get it. Yeah, not that it matters to us in North America, but if you're a UK fan, you've already looked ahead and you're like, man, what? Like what? And really, it's a lot of they should be handling a lot like those. That's the fan base that should be most enthusiastic about it. So if you're not hearing from them, I mean, there's a good reason for it. I think that's
just
so
like, do you know when they announced UFC 306? Like the date they announced UFC 306 in February. Like that's how long we've been waiting for this card. So
yeah,
like, I guess the UFC never announces dates that far out.
I think things will pick up.
Yes.
Honestly, 304 just got more intriguing with Patty saying that it's the final fight on his contract when he fights Bobby Green. Like that fight is, to me, the most intriguing fight on the card, including the 2 title fights.
Whoa.
And now it's even more intriguing because, and I really hope, and I said this on Heck of Morning, I'll say it again here. I know that Patty's manager is tight with the UFC and they have a great relationship. He's one of the faves. I truly hope Patty doesn't resign before he takes this fight. Like keep up this energy. Keep up this energy. Just bet on yourself, man. It's a win-win. Even if you lose to Bobby Green and you go off into free agency, you don't think PFL or these YouTube boxing organizations aren't going to pay you a big bag of money to come fight for them? Of course they will. And if you win, holy smokes. And he could beat Bobby Green. Like, there's a very good chance to win that fight. He goes to free agency as a ranked lightweight. Like, don't resign, dude. Please. Just not yet. Like, fight the fight, then go to the table, talk to everybody, make the UFC work for it a little bit, man. But do not resign before that, please.
All right. UFC 304, Leafy Greens.
Nothing wrong
it's
with
a better
that.
main card than 303. I think 304 is an excellent main card.
It's a great.
I'm excited. Yeah,
I
think people are excited. It's just we're ready. We're just ready for it. There's no like, just you know.
Yeah.
And we also have 2 cards in between. So.
I would have bet $500 that Chase was going to ask a very similar question to this, and I'd be $500 richer. Speaking of 304, my worst nightmare can come true if Bilal somehow manages to win the belt. Also, do you think the UFC lets him walk out with the Palestine flag?
No to that part.
But freedom of speech,
so.
bro. Freedom of speech.
Maybe.
Well, to the UFC's credit, they have not. They have let, because we have some fighters with Palestinian backgrounds win recently. I remember they did do post-fight speeches addressing of course, what's going on over there. I didn't get the sense they were being cut off or rushed or anything. So free speech wise, again, fairness, they have let them go with that. The flag might be a little bit too much of a statement. Might be a little too hot right now. Again, not in my opinion. If you're asking me, I'm like, let people. You know, we don't have the time to get into that here. But if it were up to me, he would absolutely be allowed to walk out
Israeli or Palestinian, so I'm not even going to comment on it.
Right. I would. Again, if it were up to me, I'd be fine with him walking out with the flag. If you're the UFC, it's almost like why even invite that sort of controversy right now? So they're probably not going to do it. So I would say they don't. But hey, they could surprise. Like I said, I thought they were gonna just kind of tell fighters not to talk about that stuff at all, whether they're Israeli or Palestinian. And again, some Palestinian fighters were able to mention it, so on air. So I don't know.
Is it the worst nightmare? Why the worst nightmare if Bilal wins?
I think he just doesn't like Bilal. Yeah, I don't think this is tied to the second question. I think this is just they don't like Bilal. Standard Bilal.
Again, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
I don't get it at all.
I don't get it either.
I think it's just more of a fun thing just to say no.
No, I think
is Bilal John Cena? Is that what this is now?
No,
it's just like a cool thing to boo the man. Like, what has he done wrong?
No, I just think up until recently he hasn't had, like, he doesn't have like a huge lineup of like great fights. He's looked really good recently, but I think we're looking at like maybe just some of the fights his run are pretty forgettable. Again, and some of these fights are not his fault. He does what he does to win. You know, don't put that. It's not all on him if Bilal Muhammad is a boring fight. It's his opponents too, right? So, and his opponents don't take near this amount of slack that he does. Yeah. But I think there is part of that. I think people also don't like someone who is and I'm not calling him this, but I guess they would consider him a try hard. He's very like kind of funny and quirky. He has a very funny and quirky social media personality. MMA doesn't really do quirky and funny. That's not like how you get over in social media. So I think it comes off as like cloying and like maybe irritating to some people. Like, I'm just saying, I like Bilal. I can totally understand why a large segment of the fan base isn't
here's
like,
the
jiving
thing.
with him.
People also hated Leon Edwards, and now they cheer Leon Edwards. Like, it always comes around. Like, winning solves almost everything.
It does.
But like, Leon got booed in London, and now he gets a hero's welcome. Yeah, but like, Damian Maia, one of the more popular, beloved fighters on the roster, and Bilal Muhammad beat him into retirement. Stephen Thompson, one of the more popular fighters on the roster. Bilal Muhammad out-wrestled him for 5 rounds. Vicente Luque, one of the most popular fighters on the roster. Bilal Muhammad out-wrestled him. Sean Brady was this big, hot prospect, and Bilal Muhammad knocked him out. And then Gilbert Burns, again, one of the more popular fighters on the roster, and Bilal Muhammad just, beat him up for 5 rounds, and Gilbert Burns got hurt in like the first round and basically fought with one arm. So Bilal Muhammad is beating guys put in front of him that just happen to be really popular guys. And in Gilbert Burns' case, he got hurt in the fight, and fans are using that as an excuse. They just, Bilal is just beating their favorite fighters in not the most exciting fashion, which is, I think, fine, because winning in a meritocracy, he deserves the title shot over Colby. He deserved the title shot after the Sean Brady fight.
Of course.
This fight makes sense. Like, people are just annoyed that he's beating their favorite guys in less than thrilling fashion.
Yeah. What can you do? Sometimes people don't like it.
Daniel,
I wouldn't know.
John Jones is out getting arrested and popping for steroids.
DUI and got cheered, while Daniel Cormier is, Olympic champion, wearing a suit and tie up on stage, is getting booed.
Getting booed. You're a good person. You haven't got arrested.
The UFC community.
And I also think Leon is also Leon's gotten really popular, and beating Colby, I think, made him more popular, and head kicking Kamaru made him really popular. I think, and then Bilal Muhammad talking shit after he got poked in the eye against Leon Edwards, he's talking shit against a popular fighter. Fans are just naturally going to, turn against you. I don't know. It's very interesting.
And Dana and the UFC really haven't helped Bilal.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, 100%. No. Because I think Bilal deserves the fight, but the possibility of Islam going up to welterweight is very clearly fascinating. So the fact that we almost got that, we didn't, and now we're getting Bilal, people are probably upset.
Yeah, but I don't want to see that yet. I do want to see it at some point, but
it is interesting too, because
so much work to do.
Interesting because even fighters like you guys obviously all watched it because it's on MMA Fighting's YouTube page, but Kevin Holland basically just praised Bilal Muhammad at his media day at UFC 303. He's like, Bilal's a great guy. I really like him. I don't understand it. So even fighters are I don't get it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's a weird sport. It's not even a sport.
Win or learn.
I don't understand. Yeah.
The problem is we use the term deserve way too much in this.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the most important lesson newer fans can learn. That word should not exist.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Another super chat from our good friend Chase.
Jeez, Chase. Thank you, Chase.
If Tom starches Curtis, do you think he sits out until he gets the Jones fight, or will he have to take another fight until John decides to retire? Were you hoping Jed was here?
I was going to say, can I call Jed it? I know he's on vacation, but I feel like he would take this call.
I'll give my take on this real quick. Tom Aspinall should act like John Jones doesn't exist. He should act like the title that John Jones holds proudly is the fake belt. That's what he should be doing. I have the real belt. If John wants to unify the belts with his fake belt, then he can come find me. But until then, I'll be defending this real belt against the next guy up, because that's what a champion does. That's how Tom should be handling this. No, he should not sit out and wait for John, because John is not going to fight him. And it's not because he's scared. It's none of that. It's because Tom's just not a big star right now. He just isn't. Alex Pereira is a way bigger fight. It's a way bigger fight. John is probably going to beat Stipe real bad. And then he's going to get on the mic and he's either going to say, I'm going to take some time off, see if somebody piques my interest. The UFC, of course, will not strip him of the belt. So John Jones could be sitting as the heavyweight champion for 2 years, not fighting anybody, and they won't strip him. It's just not going to happen because he's John Jones. Or John is going to call it Alex Pereira. And people are going to complain about it. But you should not be surprised about it. John only has a handful of fights left. He's going to make the most money he can before he walks away. He is prize fighting. And by 1,000,000 times, Pereira is the bigger fight. So, yeah, he's not going to... And Tom's not going to sit there and wait for John. He's just going to go fight and keep fighting. As he should. He should just defend that interim belt 1,000,000 times. Make that championship money. Makes no difference.
At what point is the UFC going to strip Tom though? Are they going to have 2 active heavyweight champions?
You're gonna have to.
They don't have. Why they have to? There's no. I mean, I'm just saying
They'll
that there's
do
no
it.
rule. Huh?
They did it with Renan Barão. Dominic Cruz was the bantamweight champion for like 3 years and didn't fight at all. And then eventually they stripped him.
Yeah, at some point they're going to strip Tom. As if John and Tom
Why would
both
they?
keep winning.
Why? Title fights mean more to the UFC than anything else. So why would they strip an interim champion who's active in fighting?
Is this an awesome situation for the UFC? Because can they just do this for every weight class?
Sure.
Just have a
Yes.
champion and an interim champion. Yeah. Like what? Because there's literally no rules. Like in boxing, there are actual rules of mandatories and all this stuff. Remember and I know AK says this a lot. That their participation. What do you call it? Not
they're props.
Props.
Belts
Promotional props. There's zero actual. What do you got? Rules or like what do you have to do to keep it or win it? Like. You can have multiple interim champions if they wanted, just because.
Dude, they could just make up a belt for John and Stipe. They could put the face of a goat, of a goat,
the goat belt,
and call it the Legacy Goat Heavyweight
title. They just
like, just do that.
Just bring out
that
goat.
Fight. That fight does not.
This is the goat emoji.
Yeah.
That fight does not sell 1 extra ticket or sell 1 extra pay-per-view because the heavyweight championship is on the line.
Yeah.
They do not care. It's John and Stipe. People will just be fascinated by the nostalgia of it all. The belt is insignificant to the fight. So who gives a shit? Like, this is, by the way, I know a lot of people like to blame John Jones for this. The blame is 1,000% on the UFC. It is not on John UFC. At all. At all. Them booking the interim title fight at MSG was dumb because we all said this would happen. Someone's going to win. John's going to just be hurt. John's injured, so he's going to be out till most of next year anyways. He's going to fight Stipe. So we're just going to defend the interim belt while the actual heavyweight champion, at least on record, isn't fighting. This whole thing was dumb. Is that in the Bilal versus Gilbert Burns booking for a card that nobody cared about, that was supposed to be a quote-unquote #1 contender, he's going to be next, was so dumb. Like, it was just a waste. I don't know.
I'm glad you put the blame on the UFC, though, because that is absolutely where all the blame is.
It's 1,000,000% on them.
Okay.
It's on them.
That's important. That's really important to know. Because I was just thinking, man, imagine if Dana just, in the next press conference, just said, "Why John should fight Tom. I don't know why he's not fighting him." And then the whole narrative changes. If he just says that once.
He won't do that.
Maybe, of course he won't, yeah. All right. Thank you much, Chase. Thank you so much for supporting your Mike Hex iced coffee, Dunkin' Donuts.
Almost done. Saving the last sip for that super chat.
Mike, how much is a black iced coffee in Florida from Dunkin' Donuts?
In South Carolina, it's like $4.25 for a large one.
Oh, it's so expensive. I remember it was like $2.
I usually get like 2 free ones a week with the
I
loyalty
used to be
point, so it works out nice.
I used to be on that grind.
And of course, the super chatters. Let's be honest, I haven't paid for a nice coffee in like 3 months. Thanks to you guys. Just kidding. But where does Kevin Lee fit in from Steven?
Oh, Steven.
We don't need to do this.
All right, a couple more.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, part 2. Make it happen.
The Last Stand 001. I'll grab this one real quick, Mike. Thoughts on the rumors of Gone versus Volkov? Mike, you and I think you and our own gear may confirm this one today. That's not a rumor.
It's not rumors.
Not a rumor.
I mean, it's not official.
But it's not a rumor.
Yeah, we have not signed. We do not have signed contracts, but it is
verbal.
It is verbally agreed.
Verbal
the main event.
MMAfighting.com. I don't think so.
Abu Dhabi.
No.
308.
Oh, 308. Okay.
MMAfighting.com, guys.
Because the main event of the Paris card is obviously Benoit Saint-Denis and Renato Moicano, and they're not going to put Cyril Gane on that card if he's not the main event.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ag Fight, by the way, for the first report on this one. But yeah, that is happening. I totally forgot it was a rematch. Jose, our graphic man, made a graphic, and I saw 2 next to Volkov's name, and I was like, oh yeah, these 2 guys fought each other.
Yeah, it was to the point where I was concerned I made a mistake. I was like,
was that at the Apex? Was that
and the fight was terrible.
It was. It was very bad.
Yeah, that was just a bad fight. Yeah.
That was back when
clear win
Gane
for
was
Gane.
like Cyril Gane was like he pieced up Volkov, he pieced up Jairzinho.
Jairzinho, yeah.
He was just kind of 50-45 in people inside the.
So obviously run it back. Obviously, people want to see it again. But I mean, you kind of have to, just because if Gane's not going to fight Almeida, Volkov's on a 4-fight win streak, you have to give Volkov like a top 5 guy. And if it's Gane, it's Gane. And Gane obviously is happy to beat him again if he can. So, yeah, totally forgot that was a rematch. But yeah, that's a 2.
I mean, the rematch might be awesome just because one fight sucks, the other one. But it's just weird. Yeah,
it's also a 3-round fight in a bigger octagon. Volkov has looked fantastic.
Damn good.
Yeah, Volkov is very good right now.
What did he do? Ezekiel choked, tied to Ivasa, so like he's cooking right now.
All right.
Joseph, since we're talking about comics, Jose, what's your favorite non-superhero comic book I want to add to my collection for my birthday?
Joseph Hall, how much time do you have? Because I don't know Jose well enough, but I feel like your top 10 list is like 7 are like non-superhero comic books.
9 of them. 9 of them. Yeah.
Close enough.
The best comic I've ever read is Berlin by Jason Lutz, about post-World War I Berlin, Germany. It took him 22 years to write. That is perfection. Dunk the Wonder Dog by, God, I can forget his last name. Dunk the Wonder Dog is great. You can get it for free online, or you can buy it, and all proceeds go to Animal Shelter in California, I believe. So do that. Day Tripper is 10 out of 10. Blankets and Habibi are 10 out of 10. Sculptor by Scott McCloud is a 10 out of 10. Looking for a superhero comic book, Batman Long Halloween is the best superhero comic book ever written. Those are all up there. Those are way up. Mouse, obviously.
There you go. Mouse,
I mean,
it's classic.
Yeah, only comic books win a Pulitzer Prize. Like, I guess if you include The Watchmen, that's technically a superhero comic book. I don't think that's the best superhero comic book ever, but I'm not going to argue. If that's what you truly believe, it is obviously a perfect comic book. But yeah, those are probably my favorites. I'm also really into this comic book called Nod Away right now. There's 2 books out, so if you jump on the train now, you'll get in early. Oh, and of course Akira. That's the best manga ever. Everything I said too, I have tattooed on my body.
Jose, what's your opinion of Saga? Yeah. I mean, I don't really like comics, but I actually haven't finished it yet. But
it was the best thing to hit comic book stands in the 21st century in terms of a monthly title. It was the best title by far. Every single weekend, every week, every Wednesday, like second Wednesday of the month for like 5 years, it was an event. And then they took 5 years off, 5-6 years off from writing the story. And to their credit, they aged all the characters 5-6 years. But since then, if you weren't there for the first 5 years, you won't get it. You won't get it. And it also, the quality of writing has severely gone down. I was obsessed with it, and then lately it is season 9 or whatever of Game of Thrones. That is how I would describe it right now. The audience has been slashed. They fucked up by taking too much time between it. But I'm obviously invested. I have every single title up here. Just like, come on, guys, wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you much. Chase, I love
also, Chicken Jenkins, Monster is one of the best mangas ever. I agree.
Yes, Tracy cut off her hair to make weight. Yes, we told you that.
Correct. There we go.
There you go.
Thank you. Confirmed.
Thank you.
Source.
Yeah, we got to confirm. Chase super chatted us so we can. All right, and our last super chat.
Terrence, no risk. John doesn't want to fight Tom because there isn't enough tape on how to beat him. I miss the John that would beat you where you were best at. Listen,
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think this is true at all. I think if Tom goes out there and annihilates Curtis and is like the talk of the card and cuts a great promo and like leaves that event looking like a star, and then somehow like fights in the co-main event at MSG underneath John Jones and has another incredible performance and just continues to get over, I think eventually he'll get John's attention. John is here to make money. He's not here for legacy. Dude, like, what else does he need to do for legacy? He's 2-division champion. Most people feel he's the greatest to ever do it. Like, what else does he need to do? Beating Tom Aspinall is like cool. Like it's awesome. But how much does that actually change his overall legacy? It just basically moves it from his fighting legacy. A ton? Not really.
I kind of disagree, but I understand. But I see your argument. I mean, he left with, but dude, just look at the best rankings out there. Who's the number 1 heavyweight? That's and I think
him not fighting Francis will ding it more than Tom. It's close.
I'm tired of talking about Francis. I just want to see him fight. I want to see him in an MMA fight.
Well, Francis has he has things. Yeah, so that's a little complicated, but
this fall, Saudi Arabia, Francis Ngannou returns. Mark your calendars.
But did Nick Six say Francis is back in the gym training?
I mean, there was a video that he's training, and I don't remember who posted the video, but it might have been Strickland, it might have been Chris Kurz, but it wasn't about Francis, but he was like doing a selfie and like talking, and Francis is very clearly sitting against the fence with like shin pads and MMA gloves on, like breathing heavily. It looks like he had just wrapped.
I'm trying to recall, like I think we did an interview with Nick a couple weeks ago, and he said Francis kind of, he's laughing again, trying to,
He also, not for nothing, is dealing with some real life things right now.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So it's not really. Yeah, I mean, until I guess Francis kind of comes out and starts doing some interviews and stuff, and we can start kind of talking about that and him in that sense again. I think Francis just has this life to live right now.
Yeah, he's got other concerns. I just want to bring it back to UFC Denver for a second. So the weigh-ins were completed. No one missed weight. We talked about Tracy Cortez haircutting drama. They're doing face-offs now. So
no fans, right?
So
no fans.
So it looks like there is no ceremonials, which is weird because they're like anytime they do
a sold out arena, like 15,000 plus people, and they don't do it.
I also
I'm gonna do some research.
I saw a lot of people asking why was there no live weigh-in streams. I'm not sure. Again, so we were obviously MMA Fighting was not there. I'm not going to speak for other outlets, so I don't know what the situation is. But yeah, if you guys got questions about that, check in with us, check with other outlets too. Not sure what happened. I don't think that they would not let people film. That would make no sense. They've never done that before. I don't think it was like a closed weigh-ins. That'd be very strange. Like I said, and some people were there. I'm sorry. Like I said, there were some sites there. I know. Amy Kaplan, Aaron Bronstetter was there. Aaron's there, right, Jose?
Yeah, he's there.
Those are his own. Okay, Aaron Bronstetter from Sportsnet is there. So some people were there, but yes, oddly no live streams. Not sure why. Again, it could just be one of these cards, guys, where
there's nothing. According to the ticket sites, there's nothing going down in the arena.
Yeah. So there's no so there's no ceremonials. Again, like I said, they're doing face-offs right now after the weigh-ins, which is what they normally do for like Apex cards. But again, doesn't matter for the UFC. Guess what? They're going to break another gate. Wait for the tweet tomorrow. Broke the Ball Arena gate record for a live event, and the train just keeps rolling on.
Going to break the Fight Night record, I'm sure.
Break the Fight Night record again. Break it again. Take that record that's been broke. That poor Fight Night record that's been broken so many times.
But how long will that gate record last when on July 27th, Hot Wheels monster truck live glow in the dark party goes down?
Oh, snap.
So,
that's what I'm saying.
Dang.
What am I doing with my life?
So they get the record.
Who you got? Who you got?
Grave digger, I assume.
UFC 304 just lost 18,000 pay-per-view.
July through August is a while. We got 3 days of monster trucks. Olivia Rodrigo, Alanis Morissette, Megadeth, Peso Pluma.
Alanis Morissette.
Olivia.
Shout out Canada.
Grupo Ferme. Dang, what an electric. Man, Denver has the Doobie Brothers, August 29th.
Oh, what a fool believes. Mike, get us out of here.
Take it away.
Michael McDonald. Let's go. All right, hit the music. God, I want to move to Denver now. Ball Arena is the place to be. It's the place to be. Well, we'll talk more Denver tomorrow. UFC Denver, that is. Casey and I will be here, I think 6:30 p.m. Eastern for the People's Pre-Fight Show. We'll have post-fight show afterwards. AK and I will do some matchmaking on to the next one on Sunday. It's just going to be a grand old time, everybody. So thanks for watching. For Jose, for Casey, for AK, I'm Keck. See you tomorrow, everybody.